Welcome back. In our previous episode, we examined the formation of Israel's community identity through the divine revelation at Mount Sinai. We discovered how this epical event created the foundational dogma that established Jewish identity as a chosen people. Today, we'll explore the extraordinary global impact of this community, how Jewish civilization became a transformative force that fundamentally altered the course of world history. This analysis will reveal the mechanisms through which a small nation created intellectual and cultural frameworks that continue to shape modern civilization, from capitalism to psychology to the discovery of the Americas. We cannot overlook the significance of Israel's identity for the entire civilized world. The Jewish people, professing one God, created a unique written culture during the 4th and 5th centuries BC. This included world history, legal codes, chronicles, psalms, wisdom literature, poetry, prose, and political thought. These texts became what we know as the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible. Its pages contain profound reflections on universal principles and fundamental existence, on human relationships, on morality, ethical standards, and spiritual aspirations. Entirely new concepts, ideas, attitudes, and values appeared in these writings, formulating a fundamentally different approach to political relations. All this constituted dogmatically determined constructs of Jewish mentality, making possible systematic study and comparative mental research. Here's what makes this historically remarkable. Jewish people didn't simply develop these ideas in isolation. They created systematic frameworks that became foundational for subsequent civilizations. Consider this. The first Christians were Jews. The apostles and evangelists were Jews. The initial opponents of Christianity were also Jews. This internal Jewish debate about the nature of the Messiah fundamentally shaped what became Christianity. The religious, moral, ethical, philosophical, legal, and political ideas of Judaism profoundly influenced the founder of Islam, Muhammad. Islamic civilization drew extensively from Jewish legal frameworks, prophetic traditions, and monotheistic theology. But the influence extends far beyond religious systems. Ideas such as capitalism, Marxism, Freudianism, pacifism, and feminism were developed and promoted throughout the Western world, often through Jewish intellectual networks. Consider the world historical significance of Christopher Columbus's discoveries. This outstanding Jewish explorer opened the American lands to modern geographical understanding and political expansion. Columbus's expeditions contributed to revising medieval worldviews, creating colonial empires and radically changing global political structures. This single individual fundamentally altered world geography and economics. Prominent Jewish intellectuals, particularly in France, played central roles in developing postmodernist ideology during the late 20th century, characterized by faith in progress and rational capability. What explains this pattern of disproportionate influence? The answer lies in understanding the unique structure of Jewish community organization. Judaism represents an exceptional case where God, according to Jewish belief, chose a people for himself who became a unified entity. Typically, peoples choose their deity through rulers and political leadership. In Judaism, God binds himself to this people through formal agreement and specific promises. A unique form of covenant emerged between the divine and human community, as entities capable of systematic negotiation. Moreover, this represents a communal agreement, establishing shared responsibility of Jews before God. Significantly, the relationship between God and individuals was secondary. Jewish identity was fundamentally communal rather than individual. Jewish individualism could manifest primarily through personal piety, as encouraged in biblical literature, especially the Book of Psalms, traditionally attributed to King David. The dogmatically established concept of a unified chosen people required complete subordination of private motivations to community interests. Individual goals remained secondary to shared purposes. During political emancipation periods, statements like those of revolutionary Countess Clermont-Tonnerre, delivered December 23, 1789 in the French National Assembly, created significant tension. He declared, "Jews as a nation have no rights. Jews as individuals have all rights." This formula challenged Jewish identity for the next 2 centuries. This created a fundamental dilemma. How could Jews maintain communal identity while participating as individuals in broader European society? Within corporate identity frameworks, beyond contributing practical benefits to the community, each person bore responsibility for the honor and dignity of fellow believers. Strict care and protection from harm was prescribed as fundamental obligation. Even religious leadership faced consequences for harming fellow community members, because such actions were understood as denying the Lord's existence. This institution of communal responsibility significantly influenced the formation and content of Jewish national mentality. In Jewish thinking, individual identity was always considered less important than national identity, with major historical events understood as affecting the entire people of Israel. This created unprecedented solidarity across geographical boundaries. Here's a crucial insight. Jewish people were chosen not for righteousness. This selection didn't imply that Israel possessed superior qualities compared to surrounding Mediterranean civilizations, Egypt, Greece, Babylon, and others. The prophets constantly called Jews to repentance, accusing them of sins, stubbornness and disobedience, stiffness of neck, and finally, moral decline and apostasy. Selection was connected exclusively with receiving the Torah, not merely as written text, but as a complete way of life. This law was given so the people would live according to divine principles always and everywhere. H.G. Wells expressed a profound insight on one occasion. From the beginning, Jerusalem served as the Jewish capital only nominally. Their real capital, at the center of their existence, was this book of books. This is why Jews represented a completely new phenomenon, a people unified from diverse elements by nothing other than the power of written instruction. The written word became the foundation of Jewish civilization, not just religious texts, but systematic legal codes, historical chronicles, philosophical treatises, and poetic literature. This created something unprecedented in human history. While other ancient peoples were united by territory or tribal ancestry, Jews were defined by shared commitment to written instruction and interpretation of transcendent law. This emphasis on written tradition rather than territorial boundaries created extraordinary adaptability and resilience across centuries of dispersion. In our next episode, we'll examine what might seem paradoxical: how this selection, not for righteousness, actually created extraordinary resilience and adaptability, and why emphasizing community identity over individual achievement proved so effective historically. We'll explore specific mechanisms through which Jewish communities maintained internal cohesion while achieving success in foreign environments, and how this pattern continues influencing modern geopolitics. If you're fascinated by how written tradition creates lasting civilizational advantages, subscribe to the channel. In the comments, share examples of how written knowledge systems influence community achievement in other societies. See you in the next episode, where we'll uncover the paradox of selection and its practical consequences for Jewish survival and influence.